Hi, so in this video what I'd like to do is give you a bit of an overview of the diary screen. So this is obviously where in particular reception staff are going to be spending a lot of their time within the system. So it's good to be able to have a good familiarity with this. So obviously we've got our sidebar down the side here, navigation across the top with a couple of settings and alert sort of icons here. And then we've got the main sort of diary or calendar area in the center of the page here. So what we've got with the sidebar, you can hide the sidebar. So if you just click the little arrow here, it will either expand or hide the sidebar. Most of the time, I imagine if you're on a desktop computer, you'll probably want to leave that expanded so that you've got access to this little mini calendar here. But if you are on an iPad and spaces at a premium or something like that, you may decide to minimize that area. In terms of what's actually in the sidebar, you can search for an upcoming appointment, so you can use the patient's name. So you just type in the patient's name and it will bring up the next appointment for that patient, and so you can click on that. I won't click on that because we're already on that day, but basically you can just click on that and that will skip the diary to that page. Then we've got this little mini calendar here. The purpose of this is to allow you to skip very quickly to future dates. So for example, if I wanted to go to the 28th of March, I would just click that and you can see that the diary has jumped to the 28th of March. You can scroll forward in months using this or backwards, and then you can just click today and that will take you back to today's. If you want to skip forward a certain number of weeks quite quickly, you just click these buttons here. You can see that's now just taken me forward 4 weeks quite quickly. Down the side here, if you have more than one practice, you will see that you click on this sort of drop down list here. You can just very quickly skip between different practices. So if I was to select the test practice here, it would now take me into the diary for that. I won't do that for the purpose of this demonstration, but you get the idea. Then underneath your name, so your username, you'll see there's a profile link. If you click that, you can adjust things like your name and your email address, your password, and so forth. And then there's help docs. So if you just click on help here, it will open the help documentation. Or if you want to log out, this little icon here is how you log out of the system. You know, obviously for security reasons, we recommend you do that at the end of the day and so on, but you would just click that log out link there. Now across the top, first of all, we have the ability to search for a patient. So you can just quickly search for a patient there and then just click on the patient's name and it will then take you to wherever. Now you see here that tags are visible on the patient. So these are just some various test tags and so forth that I've added to my patient there. But if you had a patient that was a problem patient or somebody that you didn't want back into the practice, you could always tag them with a do not book tag or something like that, a red do not book tag. And so you can very quickly see who you should be doing something with or whatever according to that. And if you click on this, it will take you to the patient's record. Now I won't do that for this purpose, but that is what you would do. Then across the top here, we've got the diary, which is where we already are. The search section is how you will find patients, and then from there you can then navigate into their records and so on. The tasks section is your to-do list. The arrived section is a list of patient appointments for a given day. Very useful for practitioners to use, particularly if they're on something like an iPad or something rather like that. The tools section is where you find a lot of the tools within the system, like reports, bulk SMS tools, form builders, things like that. And then we've got settings here where you can configure most of the settings for the system. Then there's these four icons here on the side. If you click this one here, this is your tasks for today, and you can see I don't have any tasks due, but if I wanted to see all of the tasks, I can just click on that link there, or I could click on the link at the top here. It's up to you. Then you've got your waiting list here, so you can add somebody to the waiting list by clicking the add button, and then you can just Like if you want to link it to a particular existing patient, you can do that, or you can add new patients in there instead if you would need to do that. You can allocate people to particular practitioners. You can carry it forward to future days. So if somebody wants an appointment anytime in the next week, you will probably want to carry this forward. Whereas if it's only for today, then just leave that unticked, beg your pardon. Then basically what you can do is with these, you can then drag them onto the diary. And so if I just drag and drop like that, it will then book an appointment using that patient's default appointment type for that particular person. So you can see it's nice and easy to do that. We've also got notifications here. So this is a list of notifications. So this is things like SMS replies, notifications that SMSs have failed to send, or emails that have failed to send, all sorts of warning things and so forth like that. Again, you can click this see all option down here, and then that will take you to a full list where you can search through things and so forth. But if you want to just mark one of these as completed or viewed, you just click the little tick button there, and it will then hide the notification. Then last but not least, we've got the diary settings here. Now, if you wanted to see all of the diary settings, you can click this see all, and it will open the settings in a new tab. But first of all, we've got this column width. So if I adjust the column width, it will now reload the page with a wider column, like you can see here. And you can also hide or show certain practitioners. So if I wanted to hide our test doctor here, then we can just do that, and you can see that practitioner's columns are no longer visible, or I can just quickly, put them back again. Now you see that it does reload the page, so if you have anything open, you will lose that. So make sure if you're halfway through entering a transaction or something, you don't change the page view in that way, because you don't want to lose that information while you're doing that. Now across the top here, we've got our buttons that will take you forward a week or backward a week. You can click the today button, which will take you back to today. You can use the day view here, so you can see that it's now just a single day. We can do a 3-day view. We could do a week view as well, which is what we were starting on previously. And then there's also a month view, which is probably not so useful. If you quickly need to scroll through a large number of months, it's actually quite an easy way to do that. So that's probably the main sort of features here. If you want to scroll to different areas, then it's just a matter of sort of scrolling either sideways or upwards and backwards. Normally, if you're on the week view, the page will automatically scroll to the current time, but otherwise, it just depends upon the view that you've got. So hopefully that's useful. I'll wind this video up here, and what we'll do is I'll come back and we'll run through some other features of the diary.